Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. The maps in our hands are more than just pieces of paper with lines drawn on them. There are windows to distant lands, our guides through winding paths, and our saviors when we get lost. Maps have the power to lead us to places we've never been and show us routes we've never seen. But what if your map was more than just a piece of paper? What if it had its own will? Hey, this is the extraordinary tale of Ben and his magical map. Ben was an ordinary boy who lived in an ordinary house on an ordinary street. He went to school, played football with his friends, and dreamed of adventures like the ones he read about in books. One day, while rummaging through his late grandfather's things, Ben discovered an old wooden box. The box was filled with yellowed maps, each one depicting fantastical lands and creatures. As Ben ran his fingers over these ancient maps, he felt a strange pull towards them, a feeling he couldn't quite understand.
Ow.
There was one map, however, that stood out among the rest. It wasn't bigger or more colorful than the others, but it seemed to be pulsing with a light of its own. As Ben unfolded the map, the room around him started to spin. Before he knew it, he found himself in the very forest that was marked on the map. The trees were tall and proud, their branches forming a thick canopy overhead that blocked out the sun. The air was alive with the chirping of unseen birds and the rustling of small animals in the undergrowth. Ben, clutching the map tightly, walked deeper into the woods, his senses overwhelmed by the sights, sounds, and smells of this enchanting place. As he walked, the map in his hand suddenly began to glow brightly, illuminating the path ahead. Startled, Ben looked around, realizing that the trees had parted, revealing a clearing he hadn't seen before. In the center of the clearing stood a magnificent oak tree, its leaves shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Ben felt an irresistible urge to touch it, and as soon as his fingers made contact, the world around him dissolved into a swirl of colors and sensations. He found himself in a village that looked like something straight out of a fairy tale. The houses were made of gingerbread, the roofs thatched with candy canes and gumdrops. A sign hanging crookedly over the main street proclaimed this to be the town of Sweetsville. The air was filled with the aroma of freshly baked treats. Overjoyed by the magical land he had stumbled upon, Ben decided to explore further. He walked down cobblestone streets lined with shops selling all kinds of sweets from chocolate fountains to lollipop flowers and marshmallow furniture. Everything in Sweetsville seemed to be made of candy, and the sight, smell, and even the taste of the place made Ben feel as though he had entered the most wonderful dream. As Ben continued his exploration, he noticed something peculiar. The townspeople of Sweetsville, although merry and cheerful, seemed oddly listless, as if they had forgotten how to smile or laugh. Their eyes were dull, and their movements robotic. It was as if someone had pressed the pause button on their lives. Ben, with his usual kindness and curiosity, couldn't help but wonder why the townspeople of Sweetsville seemed so lifeless. Determined to find out, he decided to visit the town elder, a kind-faced woman who ran the local bakery. When Ben explained what he had seen, the elder's eyes filled with sadness. She explained that their joy and laughter had been stolen by the Shadow Weaver, an evil wizard who lived in the Darklands beyond the everlasting river. The only way to defeat the Shadow Weaver, she said, was to retrieve the 3 magical gems hidden in the 3 most dangerous places in the Darklands. Armed with this information and the map that had brought him here, Ben knew he had to act quickly. Saying goodbye to the townspeople, Ben set off towards the river, the map clutched tightly in his hand. The moment his feet touched the water, the map flared with light, transforming into a sturdy rowboat. With a gentle push from the current, the boat moved smoothly, allowing Ben to navigate the river without any effort. On the other side of the river lay the Darklands, a stark contrast to the vibrant Sweetsville. The sky was gray and gloomy, the trees gnarled and twisted, and the air heavy with an oppressive silence. As Ben journeyed deeper into the Darklands, the map boat guided him through a maze of dark tunnels and over hills of shadow. Finally, the boat came to a halt before a cave whose entrance was guarded by 2 menacing stone gargoyles. According to the map, this was the first of the 3 dangerous places, the Cave of Silence. As Ben stepped out of the boat, the gargoyles sprang to life, their eyes glowing red in the gloom. They snarled, their voices like shards of glass, and demanded that Ben turn back. But Ben, remembering his mission to restore the townspeople's happiness, refused to budge. The gargoyles, seeing that reason would not work, attacked. Their claws sharp and their teeth like daggers, the gargoyles lunged at Ben. But the boy was quicker than they expected. Dodging their attacks, he ventured further into the cave. The gargoyles, unable to follow him into the darkness, roared in frustration. Inside the cave, Ben found the first gem, a small, unassuming stone that pulsed with a faint blue light. Placing it in his pocket, Ben knew that he had taken the first step towards defeating the Shadow Weaver. Emerging from the cave, Ben continued his journey. The map boat carried him across the Whispering Wasteland and up the Mountain of Thorns until finally reaching the Valley of Echoes. Here, according to the map, lay the second gem. But guarding it was a creature unlike anything Ben had ever seen. A huge bird with feathers of pure darkness and eyes that burned like hot coals. This was the second dangerous place, the Valley of Echoes. And the fearsome bird was known as the Harbinger of Nightmares. As the creature swooped down ready to strike, the map in Ben's pocket glowed brightly, transforming the boat into a powerful longbow. With newfound confidence, Ben took aim and fired. The arrow, infused with the magic of the map, flew straight towards the Harbinger, striking it right in its chest. The bird let out a piercing screech and fell, its body dissolving into motes of light. From the creature's remains, Ben retrieved the second gem, a radiant silver stone that hummed with power. With both gems secured, Ben's journey continued. His map boat glided over the Sea of Whispers and up the Tower of Lost Dreams, leading him to the final dangerous place, the Citadel of Shadows. The air grew colder as Ben approached the citadel, and the sky above crackled with dark energy. At the top of the tower, he confronted the Shadow Weaver himself, a wizened old man with eyes like bottomless pits. The Shadow Weaver, sensing the approach of his nemesis, unleashed bolts of dark magic at Ben. But the map in Ben's possession glowed brightly, transforming into a shield that deflected the attacks. With his final bit of strength, the Shadow Weaver hurled a barrage of shadows at Ben, enveloping the boy in a cloud of darkness. But as the shadows touched him, they dissipated, unable to withstand the light of the two gems Ben carried. Defeated and drained, the Shadow Weaver collapsed, his reign of terror finally coming to an end. As the shadows receded, the stolen laughter and joy returned to the Darklands, and the trees and creatures began to stir with life once more. With the help of the map, Ben had not only saved the Darklands, but also gained an understanding of its magic and power. He realized that the true strength of the map lay not just in its ability to guide him, but in its power to transform and adapt, always offering him the help he needed. And as for the townspeople of Sweetsville, their lives were once again filled with laughter and light, thanks to Ben's courage and the magic of the map. And so the tale of Ben and his magical map echoes through the ages. A reminder that the greatest adventures often begin with the most ordinary of objects, and that the truest magic lies within us all. That's all for today. See you next time.